The Arsacid dynasty, known natively as the Arshakuni dynasty, ruled the Kingdom of Armenia from 54 to 428. They are a branch of the Artaxiad Dynasty of Parthia.Arsacid Kings, reigned intermittently throughout the chaotic years following the fall of the Artaxiad Dynasty until 62, when Tiridates I secured Artaxiad Dynasty of Parthia rule in Armenia. An independent line of kings was established by Vologases II in 180. Two of the most notable events under Arsacid rule in Armenian history were the conversion of Armenia to Christianity by Gregory the Illuminator in 301 and the creation of the Armenian alphabet by St. Mesrob in c. 406. Early Arsacids. The first appearance of an Arsacid on the Armenian throne came about in 12 when the Parthian king Vologases I was exiled from Parthia due to his pro-Roman policies and Occidental manners. Vologases I briefly acquired the Armenian throne with Roman consent, but Artaxiad III demanded his deposition, and as Emperor Augustus did not wish to begin a war with the Parthians, he deposed Vologases I and sent him to Syria. Artaxiad III did not waste time. After deposition of Vologases I, he installed his son Herodes on the Armenian throne. Emperor Tiberius had no intention of giving up the buffer states of the eastern frontier and sent his nephew and heir Germanicus to the east, who concluded a treaty with Artaxiad III, in which he was recognized as king and friend of the Romans. Armenia was given in 18 to Zeno, the son of Polemon I of Pontus, who assumed the Armenian name Artaxias. The Parthians under Artaxiad III were too distracted by internal strife to oppose the Roman-appointed king. Zeno's reign was remarkably peaceful in Armenian history. After Zeno's death in 36, Artaxiad III decided to reinstate an Arsacid over the Armenian throne, choosing his eldest son Arsaces I as a suitable candidate. But his succession to the Armenian throne was disputed by his younger brother Herodes, who was previously overthrown by Zeno. Tiberius quickly concentrated more forces on the Roman frontier, and once again, after a decade of peace, Armenia was to become the theater of bitter warfare between the two greatest powers of the known world for the next 25 years. Tiberius sent an Iberian named Mithridates, who claimed to be of Arsacid blood. Mithridates successfully subjugated Armenia to the Roman rule and deposed Arsaces, inflicting huge devastation to the country. Surprisingly, Mithridates was summoned back to Rome, where he was kept a prisoner, and Armenia was given back to Artaxiad III, who gave the throne to his younger son Herodes. Another civil war erupted in Parthia upon Artaxiad III's death. In the meantime, Mithridates was put back on the Armenian throne, with the help of his brother Pharasmanes and Roman troops. Civil war continued in Parthia for several years, with Gotarzes eventually seizing the throne in 45. In 51, Mithridates' nephew Radamastus invaded Armenia and killed his uncle. The governor of Cappadocia, Julius Palinus, decided to conquer Armenia, but he settled with the crowning of Radamastus, who generously rewarded him. The current Parthian king Vologases I saw an opportunity, invaded Armenia and succeeded in forcing the Iberians to withdraw from Armenia. The harsh winter that followed proved too much for the Parthians, who also withdrew, thus leaving open doors for Radamastus to regain his throne. After regaining power, according to Tacitus, the Iberian was so cruel that the Armenians stormed the palace and forced Radamastus out of the country, and Vologases I get an opportunity to install his brother Tiridates on the throne. Between Rome and Parthia, unhappy with the growing Parthian influence at their doorstep, Roman Emperor Nero sent General Gnaeus Domitius Corbulo with a large army to the east in order to install Roman client kings. After Tiridates I escaped, Roman client king Tigranes VI was installed, and in 61 he invaded the Kingdom of Armenia, which was one of the Parthian vassal kingdoms. Vologases I considered this as an act of aggression from Rome and restarted a campaign to restore Tiridates I onto the Armenian throne. In the following Battle of Randia in 62, command of the Roman troops was again entrusted to Corbulo, who marched into Armenia and set a camp in Randia, where he made a peace agreement with Tiridates, upon which he was recognized as a king of Armenia, but he agreed to become Roman client king in that he would go to Rome to be crowned by Emperor Nero. Tiridates ruled Armenia until his death at deposition around 110, when Parthian king Osrhoes I invaded Armenia and throned his nephew Axides, son of the previous Parthian king Pacorus II, as king of Armenia. This encroachment on the traditional sphere of influence of the Roman Empire ended the peace since Emperor Nero's times some half-century earlier, and started a new war with the new Roman Emperor Trajan. Trajan marched towards Armenia in October 113 to restore a Roman client king in Armenia. Envoys from Osrhoes I met Trajan at Athens, informing him that Axides had been deposed and asking that Axida's elder brother, Parthia.Arsacid, be granted the throne. Trajan declined the proposal and in August 114 captured Samosata, where Parthia.Arsacid asked to be crowned. But instead of crowning him, he annexed his kingdom as a new province to the Roman Empire. Parthia.Arsacid was dismissed and died mysteriously soon afterwards. As a Roman province, Armenia was administered along with Cappadocia by Lucius Catilius Severus of the gens Catilia. The Roman Senate issued coins which had celebrated this occasion and had borne the following inscription: Armenia et Mesopotamia in Potestatemp, RREDSETA, thus solidifying Armenia's position as the newest Roman province. After a rebellion led by a pretender to the Parthian throne was put down, some sporadic resistance continued and Vologases III managed to secure a sizable chunk of Armenia just before Trajan's death in August 117. However, in 118 the new emperor Hadrian gave up Trajan's conquered lands, including Armenia, and installed Parthia.Aspades as king of Armenia and Osrhoene. Although the Parthian king Vologases held most of Armenian territory, eventually compromise with the Parthians was reached and Parthian Vologases was placed in charge of Armenia. Vologases ruled Armenia until 140. Vologases IV, son of legitimate Parthian king Mithridates IV, dispatched his troops to seize Armenia in 161 and eradicated the Roman legions stationed there under legatus Gaius Severianus. Encouraged by the Spabod Osrhoes, Parthian troops marched further west into Roman Syria. Marcus Aurelius immediately sent Lucius Verus to the eastern front. In 163, Verus dispatched General Statius Priscus, who was recently transferred from Britain along with several legions, from Syrian Antioch to Armenia. The Artaxiad army under Vologases IV command surrendered to Roman General Priscus, who installed a Roman puppet, Sohemus, on the Armenian throne, deposing a certain Pacorus installed by Vologases III. As a result of an epidemic within the Roman forces, Parthians retook most of the lost territory in 166 and forced Sohemus to retreat to Syria. After a few intervening Roman and Parthian rulers, Vologases II assumed the throne in 186. In 198 Vologases II assumed the Parthian throne and named his son Khosrov I to the Armenian throne. Khosrov I was subsequently captured by the Romans, who installed one of their own to take charge of Armenia. However, the Armenians themselves revolted against the Roman overlords, and in accordance to New Rome Parthia Compromise, Khosrov I's son, Tiridates II, was made king of Armenia, Sassanids and Armenia. In 224 the Persian king Artaxiad I overthrew the Arsacids in Parthia and found the new Persian Sassanid dynasty. The Sassanids were determined to restore the old glory of the Achaemenid Persia, so they proclaimed Zoroastrianism as the state religion and considered Armenia as part of their empire. To preserve the autonomy of Arsacid rule in Armenia, Tiridates II sought friendly relations with Rome. This was an unfortunate choice, because the Sassanid king Shapur I defeated the Romans and made peace with the emperor Philip. In 252 Shapur I invaded Armenia and forced Tiridates II to flee. After the deaths of Tiridates II and his son Khosrov II, Shapur I installed his own son Hormazd on the Armenian throne. When Shapur I died in 270, Hormazd took the Persian throne and his brother Naseh ruled Armenia in his name. Under Diocletian, Rome installed Tiridates III as ruler of Armenia, and in 287 he was in possession of the western parts of Armenian territory. The Sassanids stirred some nobles to revolt when Naseh left to take the Persian throne in 293. Rome nevertheless defeated Naseh in 298, and Khosrov I's son Tiridates III regained control over Armenia with the support of Roman soldiers. Christianization. As late as the later Parthian period, Armenia was a predominantly Zoroastrian-adhering land. However, this was soon to change. In 301, St. Gregory the Illuminator converted King Tiridates III and members of his court to Christianity, traditionally dated to 301 according to historian Mikhail Chamchian's Patmushan Hayos Iskabain Ashkahi Minchef Samdian. The Armenian alphabet was created by St. Mesrop Mashtots in 405 AD for the purpose of Bible translation, and Christianization as thus also marks the beginning of Armenian literature. According to Moses Korenatsi, Isaac of Armenia made a translation of the Gospel from the Syriac text about 411. This work must have been considered imperfect, because soon afterward John of Gegart and Joseph of Baghan, two of Mashtot's students, were sent to Edessa to translate the biblical scriptures. They journeyed as far as Constantinople and brought back with them authentic copies of the Greek text. With the help of other copies obtained from Alexandria, the Bible was translated again from the Greek according to the text of the Septuagint and Origen's Hexapla. This version, now used by the Armenian Church, was completed about 434. Decline. During the reign of Tigranes VII, the Sassanid king Shapur II invaded Armenia. During the following decades, Armenia was once again disputed territory between the Byzantine Empire and the Sassanid Empire, until a permanent settlement in 387, which remained in place until the Arab conquest of Armenia in 639. Arsacid rulers intermittently remained in control, preserving the power to some extent, as border guardians either under Byzantine or as a Persian protectorate, until 428. Arsacid Kings of Armenia. Note: dates are approximate to doubtful. Tiridates I 52–58, 62–66, officially 66–88. Tigranes VI 59–62. Sanatrusis 88–110. Axides 110 to 113, Parthia.Arsacid 113 to 114. Armenia was declared as a Roman province by Roman Emperor Trajan between 114–117 Vologases I 117, 8–144, Sohaemus 144–161, 164–186, Bakur 161–164, Vologases II 186–198, Khosrow I 198–217, Tiridates II 217–252, Khosrow II c. 252, Sassanid kingship 252–287, Tiridates III 287–330, Khosrow III 330–339, Tigranes VII 339 c. 350, Arsaces II c. 350–368, Sassanid kingship 368–370, Paps 370–374, Varastates 374–378, Arsaces III 378–387 with co-ruler Vologases III 378–386, Khosrow IV 387–389, Vramsapa 389–414, Local independent government 414–422.